Hi there. Again, thank you for attending the event with us during the course of this week. As promised, this is the growth portion. We would answer most of the questions that were put forward to us. We had more questions than we anticipated. In growth, the first is, I'm responsible for 55% of my company's revenue because of my history and relationships. How do I transfer these relationships to my sales team over time so I can focus on strategic growth opportunities instead? Great question. If you are the business, then you don't have a business, you have a job, despite the fact that your business is well established. Next question. You spoke about two types of growth, organic and next level. How do you design and build, in inverted commas, your business to achieve both? Third, pre-COVID, we were growing at 18% compounded annually. That's a nice growth rate. It has slowed, and today we are finding a different market environment. How do we get back up to our former levels? Yeah, I think a lot of people are going through that. Number 4, blunt and direct. How do we grow faster? Number 5, we operate a multi-location business with 13 locations. If we want to exit the business in 7 years, how do we ensure that we do so for maximum value? Yeah, this is a well-established business. That's a really great question. Thank you for that question. And lastly, number 6, we have innovated a new product range that the market is unused to. It's also more expensive, but offers environmentally friendly benefits. How do we change the way we sell currently to get this new product range accepted and into the market? So 6 great questions. I think I'm going to go with question number 5. How do we operate a multi-location business with 13 locations? If we want to exit the business 7 years from now, how do we ensure we can do so for maximum value? It's interesting. A well-established business, especially with multiple locations, what we have found historically is that the locations operate with slightly different dynamics. In this particular case, having looked at who the question came from, having looked at the type of business, this business is selling into the both consumer and business-to-business segments. And what we have found previously is that the first, second, third, fourth location function and operate differently to the most recent locations. The reason for this is that habits and system sets get built in earlier locations, which when adopted and used differently in later locations, will see the locations all functioning differently. Our concerns around that from a growth point of view begin with positioning. In that, if I go to any one of your locations, wherever they may be, it would be fair for me under one single brand to expect one single experience. But if the experiences differ, it creates confusion in the mind of your clients and customers. Secondly, often when we approach a business, a multi-location business, we begin by doing diagnostics across each of the locations. And what we have found historically is that the locations offer up very different ratios of performance from one location to the next, to the next, to the next. The approach that we've often adopted around this is to identify which locations do which parts of service delivery the best, and then to create an engagement, a facilitated engagement, to ensure that we can take the best performing elements from each of the locations and create an ideal set of systems. How you market that location, how you engage in the sales activities, how you service and supply and fulfill your promises to clients, and how you administer that from location to location. And in creating that ideal set of systems, we then implement right across, in this case, the 13 locations. The next stage would be to identify where location number 14, 15, 16, and so on would best be suited. And that requires you understanding, again, where is your addressable market? In other words, who do you serve? Who do you excel at serving? Who do you fail at serving? So that the addressable market can be properly defined, quantifying the value of an addressable market within the location dynamics of the next store or branch or facility or point of distribution or service. And then to identify how many additional beyond the next one locations would be available. So let's, for example, say there's enough space in the market to accommodate 30 locations. You have 13 in play. We've optimized the 13. We take that set of systems and implement over a 2-year period an additional 3 new locations. And we do so on the basis of the territory's dynamics. Thereafter, we look at the speed with which those 3 new locations attain their peak revenues. That then gives you a lead up to the final exit. The buyer says, what makes you special? To the extent that you can show you create a great customer experience, it's consistently delivered across the locations, it's done and governed by systems that you have developed that are universal, your teams that operate the systems are benchmarked against each other and are universal, you've got growth from the last 3 locations you've recently opened, and those last 3 were 3 of the 17 further locations that still exist within the region, giving that acquirer an opportunity to not only acquire the business today, but enjoy the future growth opportunities they themselves will face. It's a classical 5-year strategy to take a multi-location business, build it, ramp it, and exit within that period of time. Of course, if you choose not to exit, you simply proceed and launch the further locations, and at any stage after the 5-year period, you still enjoy the same strategy for a good growth story and a really neat exit. I'm sorry I'm not having time to answer all the remaining questions, but please do come through to the next events, because I'll raise them within those events themselves and certainly engage with you again further. Fantastic. Thank you for listening. Take care. Cheers.